Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought to yourself, what if just 1 week from now, I was someone completely different? Not in the sense of losing who you are, but in the sense of becoming unrecognizable to the people who once doubted you, ignored you, or even took you for granted. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Give this video a like, and most importantly, watch until the end. Because what I'm about to share with you isn't just another self-improvement routine. If you stay with me, it might just reshape not only how you see yourself, but how others see you, especially in your love life. Let's begin. A few years ago, I had a friend, we'll call him Amir. Amir was the kind of guy everyone overlooked. He was quiet, unsure of himself, always saying yes to everyone's demands. His co-workers didn't respect him. His friends barely noticed when he was around, and in relationships, well, he was either ignored or taken for granted. One day, Amir hit a breaking point. He told me, I want to be someone nobody recognizes a week from now. Not in appearance, but in energy, confidence, and presence. And guess what? He did it. In 1 week, he became so different, so unrecognizable, that even the woman who had just ghosted him reached out to say, "You've changed. What happened to you?" That story stuck with me, because the truth is, you don't need years. You don't even need months. If you dedicate one focused week to transformation, you can shift the direction of your entire life. So today I'm giving you a comprehensive guide step by step to becoming unrecognizable in just 7 days. Day 1, the reset. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever walked into your own room or even into your own life and felt like everything around you was just heavy? Not because of the furniture, not because of the mess, but because of the memories attached to it all. That old shirt lying on the chair, reminding you of a night you'd rather forget. That gift sitting in the corner, given to you by someone who no longer even thinks about you. Or maybe it's the unread messages in your phone from people you know don't actually care, but you keep them anyway, because deleting feels like admitting they're gone. If you felt that weight, then you already understand why day 1 is all about the reset. It's about clearing space physically, emotionally, and mentally, so that the new version of you can breathe. Let me take you into a story. There was this guy, we'll call him Samir. A good guy, soft-hearted, but stuck. He was in love once, deeply in love. He gave everything, his time, his attention, his loyalty. But one day that love faded. The person he cared for left him. Not with a big dramatic ending, but quietly. One unread message, one cold reply, one "I'm busy" that never stopped. And yet, in Samir's room, their presence still lingered. A picture frame on the desk, a sweater left behind, little things that whispered every night, "You're not enough." Sound familiar? Maybe you've had your own version of this. Maybe right now as I speak, there's something sitting in your life that reminds you of someone who doesn't even remember you anymore. That's why day 1 begins with a purge, a reset. Samir told me that one night he couldn't take it anymore. He sat down with a trash bag, not to throw his life away, but to finally let go of the things that kept him tied to the past. He picked up that sweater, the one that still smelled faintly of her perfume, and for the first time, instead of clutching it, he let it fall into the bag. He deleted old messages. He unfollowed accounts that only made his heart ache. And something strange happened. When he woke up the next morning, his room looked emptier, but his chest felt lighter. That's the power of a reset. Now let's turn this back to you. If you had to walk through your room right now, what's the one thing you know deep down you should throw away, but you don't, because it still holds a piece of your heart? What's the one contact in your phone that you should delete, but you scroll past it anyway, hoping maybe one day they'll text you again? This is where most people fail. They try to build a new life while still holding on to the debris of the old one. But you can't paint a masterpiece on a dirty canvas. You can't start fresh if the ghosts of yesterday are still sitting at your table. So here's what I want you to do on day 1. Go into your space, look at every item, ask yourself, does this belong to the person I'm becoming, or to the person I used to be? Go into your phone. Look at your contacts, your chats, your social media. Ask yourself, does this bring me peace or does it reopen wounds? Then write in a notebook, this is who I refuse to be anymore. Be honest, pour it all out. The weaknesses, the fears, the heartbreak, the parts of yourself you're ashamed of. And when you finish writing, draw a line, a literal line under the words. That's your signal. That's the grave of your old self. The beauty of day one isn't that anyone else will notice. They won't, not yet, but you'll feel it. You'll look at yourself differently in the mirror. You'll carry yourself a little taller. And when you go to sleep that night, you'll feel like you've taken your first breath in months. And here's the real secret. When you reset, when you let go of the old baggage, the people who once ignored, you especially in your love life start noticing something different. Because suddenly you're no longer weighed down. You're lighter, freer, sharper, and that energy is magnetic. So let me ask you again, what's the one thing you need to let go of today to start becoming unrecognizable tomorrow? Day 2, the silence test. Have you ever noticed how much of your life is filled with noise? I don't mean just the sound of traffic, music, or people talking. I mean the constant chatter that never leaves you alone. The buzzing notifications on your phone, the endless scroll of social media, the words you spill out just to fill awkward silences. But here's a deeper question. When was the last time you sat in complete silence? Not distracted, not talking, not waiting for a reply from someone you love, but truly with yourself? For most people, that silence is terrifying, because in silence we hear the truth we've been running from. Let me tell you a story. There was a young woman named Aisha. She had just gotten out of a messy relationship. You know the kind, the one where you're not sure if it really ended? Because sometimes he still texted, sometimes she still replied, but deep down they both knew it was over. Every night she lay in bed with her phone on the pillow, waiting for that one buzz. And when it didn't come, she distracted herself with videos, with music, with pointless conversations with friends, anything to avoid the silence. One day, she realized all this noise wasn't helping her heal. It was keeping her stuck. She was trying so hard to avoid silence because in silence, she'd have to face the fact that he wasn't coming back. And that's when she decided to take the silence test. On day 2 of her reset, Aisha put her phone on airplane mode. She didn't scroll. She didn't post. She didn't even play background music while she cleaned her room. She just sat with herself. At first, it was unbearable. She heard her own thoughts louder than ever. Memories of him laughing. The sound of his voice calling her name. The way he used to hold her hand when they walked together. It all came back. Her chest ached, her eyes watered. But then, something shifted. She began to hear something else. She heard her own heartbeat. She heard her own breathing. She heard her own voice whispering inside, "You're still here. You're still alive, and you are stronger than you think." That's the power of silence. It strips away the illusions and forces you to meet the one person you've been avoiding, yourself. Now think about your own life. How often do you speak when you don't need to, just to keep someone's attention? How often do you check your phone, refreshing, hoping for a message from that one person? How often do you drown yourself in music or videos, just so you don't have to face what's really on your mind? Day 2 is about breaking that cycle. The silence test is not about muting the world forever, it's about reclaiming control. Because when you stop filling every moment with noise, people start noticing. Imagine this. The next time you're with friends, instead of talking endlessly or trying to be funny, you listen. You hold eye contact. You nod, you observe. Suddenly your presence feels different, stronger, more mysterious. People will lean in, curious about your thoughts. And in love, silence becomes magnetic. Instead of chasing, over-explaining, or begging for attention, you hold back. You let silence do the talking. And believe me, silence often says more than 1,000 words. Aisha told me that after practicing silence for just one day, she walked into her office and people immediately noticed. Her coworker said, "You seem different today, calmer, what's going on?" Nothing external had changed, but internally, she had tapped into a power that most people never experience. And here's the truth. When you master silence, you become unrecognizable. Because most people are addicted to noise. They can't survive without it. But you'll stand apart. You'll carry a stillness that makes others feel both safe and curious around you. So here's your challenge for day 2. Spend one full day practicing intentional silence. No gossip, no unnecessary small talk, no mindless scrolling. Whenever you feel the urge to fill the silence, pause, breathe, listen instead. At first it will feel uncomfortable, maybe even painful. Memories might resurface, old wounds may reopen, but on the other side of that discomfort lies something powerful: clarity. Because once you sit in silence long enough, you stop hearing the echoes of the past, and you start hearing your future calling. So ask yourself this: Can you be brave enough to face the silence today so that tomorrow people no longer recognize the old version of you? Day 3, the body shift. Let me ask you a simple question. When was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and genuinely felt proud of what you saw? Not just your face, not just your clothes, but your body, your posture, your energy. Most people avoid mirrors because deep down, they don't like what's looking back at them. Not because they're ugly, not because they're worthless, but because they've ignored their body for too long. But here's the truth. The body is the first signal of transformation. When your body shifts, everything else follows. Let me tell you a story. There was a guy named Bilal. He had been through a breakup that left him shattered. His girlfriend had told him the words no man ever forgets. I don't feel the spark anymore. That sentence haunted him. He kept thinking, maybe if I were stronger, maybe if I looked better, maybe she would have stayed. So he did what most people do. He drowned his pain in junk food, late nights and endless scrolling. His shoulders slouched, his energy dropped, and even his friends started to notice. One of them joked, "Man, you look tired all the time." But one day, Bilal had enough. He remembered how his ex used to look at him in the beginning, how her eyes lit up when he walked into a room, how she held his arm proudly when they went out together. He thought to himself, I want that version of me back. Not for her, but for me. That's when he began the body shift. On day 3, he woke up early, not to run a marathon, not to hit the gym for hours, but to move his body. He did push-ups on the floor, crunches in his bedroom, and squats right beside his bed. It wasn't about perfection, it was about momentum. And here's the interesting thing. The very first workout didn't change his body overnight, but it changed his posture. He walked taller that day. His shoulders pulled back, his eyes lifted. And when he walked past people on the street, he noticed something he hadn't seen in months. Heads turning. That's the secret. When you take care of your body, even in small ways, the world responds. Think about it in your own life. Have you ever noticed how your energy shifts after a good workout? Or even after a long walk? How suddenly you feel sharper, more confident, maybe even more attractive? And do you remember how your partner or your crush looked at you differently when you radiated that energy? That's not an accident. The body carries signals that people pick up subconsciously. If your body slouches, people assume you lack confidence. If your body moves with strength, people assume you're in control. And in love, these signals matter more than words. Bilal told me something powerful. He said, after just 1 week of moving my body daily, I noticed something strange. I started speaking differently. I wasn't begging for attention anymore. I felt like I already deserved it. That's the transformation you need to aim for. Not six-pack abs in 7 days, not perfection. Just energy, presence, movement. Here's what I want you to do on day 3. Wake up and move your body for 20-30 minutes. Push-ups, squats, stretching, whatever you can do. Drink water instead of soda. Fuel your body like someone who values themselves. Stand in front of a mirror, shoulders back, chest open. Practice walking with confidence, even if it feels forced at first. Because here's the truth. When you shift your body, your mind follows. Your confidence grows, and people, especially in your love life, notice the difference immediately. Picture this. You walk into a room after 3 days of moving differently. You don't even say a word. But someone who hasn't noticed you in weeks suddenly looks up and thinks something's changed about them. They look alive, and that's when you realize you've started becoming unrecognizable. So let me ask you this. If your body could speak for you before you even opened your mouth, what would it say right now? And what do you want it to say 1 week from today? Day 4, the mind upgrade. Let me ask you something. When someone listens to you speak, do they lean in, curious, drawn to your words? Or do they tune out, waiting for the moment you stop talking? The truth is, people don't just fall for your looks. They fall for your mind, for the way you think, the way you express yourself, the way you make them feel understood. And if you can upgrade your mind, even in 1 week, you can become unrecognizable. Let me share a story with you. There was a man named Hassan. To his friends, he was just the funny guy. He cracked jokes, kept conversations light, but when things got serious, when depth was required, he fell silent. His girlfriend once told him during an argument, "You don't know how to talk about anything real." That cut deep, because she wasn't just saying he lacked knowledge, she was saying he lacked presence, wisdom, and the ability to connect on a deeper level. After their breakup, Hassan spent weeks replaying her words in his head. One night, while scrolling, he stumbled on a line from Marcus Aurelius. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. He realized his thoughts were shallow because he fed them shallow things. Endless gossip, mindless entertainment, cheap distractions. No wonder his words carried no weight. That night, Hassan decided to change. On day 4 of his transformation, he started the mind upgrade. He didn't enroll in a university. He didn't spend thousands on courses. He simply replaced his noise with nourishment. In the morning, instead of waking up to social media, he opened a book, something that challenged him, something that stretched his thinking. At night, instead of binge-watching, he journaled. He wrote about his day, his fears, his dreams. And here's the interesting part. Within just one day, people noticed. Not because he suddenly became a genius, but because his conversation shifted. Instead of small talk like, "How was your day?" he asked, "What's the most important thing you learned today?" People paused. They weren't used to him asking questions that mattered. His presence felt different. And in love, that shift was magnetic. Because let me tell you something, anyone can make someone laugh. Anyone can buy gifts. But very few can make someone feel seen. And when your mind grows, your ability to see deeply into others grows too. That's what makes you unforgettable. Now think about your own life. When was the last time you truly fed your mind? Not just with headlines or reels, but with wisdom that changes the way you see the world. And when was the last time someone told you, "Wow, you think differently. I like the way you see things." That's what day 4 is about. The mind upgrade isn't about stuffing yourself with random knowledge. It's about shifting your perspective. It's about slowing down, choosing your words carefully, and carrying a calm wisdom that people feel in your presence. Here's what I want you to do. Spend 30 minutes today reading something meaningful. Philosophy, psychology, history, anything that stretches your thinking. Journal before bed. Write what you learned, what you felt, what you want to become. When you speak, slow down. Don't rush. Think before you respond. Because when you do this, people start to notice. They can't explain it, but suddenly your words have weight. Your presence feels richer. And in love, this is the turning point. Instead of being the person who's easily ignored, you become the one they crave deep conversations with at 2 a.m. Hassan told me that within a week of practicing this, his ex actually reached out not to get back together, but to say, "You sound so different lately. It's like you've grown." That's when he knew. The mind upgrade had made him unrecognizable. So let me leave you with this question. If your words are painting a picture of who you are, what colors are you using right now? And more importantly, what colors do you want people to see a week from today? Day 5, rediscovering your purpose. Let me ask you something personal. Do you remember the first time you fell in love? The way it changed everything, how suddenly life had more meaning, how you couldn't wait to wake up, get ready and see that person. Even the simplest things, walking down the street, listening to music, or looking at the stars, felt magical because you were living for someone, not just yourself. That's the power of purpose. But somewhere along the way, most of us lose it. We get caught in routines, disappointments, loneliness, or distractions. And instead of chasing something bigger, we look for quick comfort, things that numb the emptiness but never truly fill it. That's where habits like pornography and excessive masturbation creep in. They don't just steal your energy, they steal your sense of direction. Think about it. When you're passionate about something, your fitness, your work, your family, or your dreams, you don't have time to waste on meaningless urges. But when life feels empty, the mind says, just escape for a while. Just distract yourself. That's why Stoic philosophers believed so deeply in living with purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Stop drifting. You're not going to reread your life. Wake up, be good. Do what you were born to do." He knew the danger of living without direction. It makes us slaves to impulses. So today your mission is simple. Pause and ask yourself, what gives me meaning? Not what gives me comfort, not what entertains me, but what actually makes me feel alive. Maybe it's building a strong body, one that you feel proud of when you look in the mirror. Maybe it's learning a new skill, something you've always admired in others. Maybe it's creating financial freedom for yourself and your family. Maybe it's even giving back, being someone others can rely on. Here's the exercise. 1. Write down 3 things that make you feel alive. 2. Pick one, just one. And today, take a step toward it. Even if it's small, sign up for a class. Do a workout, read one chapter, make one phone call. Why? Because progress, no matter how small, builds momentum, and momentum builds purpose. Think back again to love. What kept you so excited wasn't just the feeling. It was the growth, the building of memories, the small steps toward a future together. That's exactly how you must treat your goals. Every step you take makes the urge weaker, because the brain starts associating pleasure with growth, not escape. The truth is, masturbation is never about the act itself. It's about filling a void. And the only way to fill that void is to replace it with something higher, something worthy of your time, energy, and heart. Remember this: a man with no purpose is a slave to his desires. A man with purpose becomes unstoppable. So tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself honestly, am I wasting my energy on empty pleasure? Or am I investing it into building the life I dream of? The choice is yours. But once you rediscover your purpose, you'll realize you were never meant to settle for cheap pleasure. You were born for something far greater. Day 6, building unshakable self-discipline. Let me ask you something personal again. Do you remember when you first started dating the person you loved most? Think about how you behaved back then. You would wait for hours just to see them. You'd plan out what to wear, how to talk, even what cologne to spray. You had discipline without even realizing it. Why? Because love gave you a reason. You weren't lazy when it came to love. You were focused. You didn't hit snooze before meeting them. You didn't make excuses, you just showed up. That's the secret most men forget. Discipline comes naturally when you're deeply connected to something you care about. But here's the problem. Somewhere along the way, you stopped treating yourself like someone worth showing up for. You gave your best to someone else. But when it comes to your own life, your own future, you let procrastination win. That's why urges like pornography and masturbation creep in, because discipline is replaced by impulse. The Stoics were crystal clear about this. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about those words. If you can't say no to your urges, are you really free? Or are you chained not by anyone else but by yourself? Day 6 is all about breaking those chains, not by punishing yourself, but by building unshakable self-discipline, brick by brick, like building a temple. Here's how you start. Step 1, create a small promise. Pick one habit that feels tiny but powerful. It could be waking up without snoozing, making your bed, drinking water before checking your phone. It doesn't matter how small it is. What matters is that you do not break it. Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust. Think about your love life again. If your partner broke every promise, how long would you stay? The same is true for your relationship with yourself. If you keep betraying your own word, you stop respecting yourself. Step 2, train your willpower like a muscle. Most people think discipline is a gift. It's not. It's a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Just like lifting weights. You don't start with the heaviest bar. You start small and increase over time. The same way, start saying no to small urges. No to scrolling mindlessly. No to junk food. No to wasting hours on meaningless things. That way, when the urge to relapse comes, your willpower is already battle-tested. Step 3, replace the pleasure. Here's the secret. You can't just say no. You must replace the no with a yes to something better. When you feel the urge, do 20 push-ups, take a cold shower, read 2 pages of a book, or write down your goals. Discipline isn't about killing pleasure. It's about choosing higher pleasure over lower pleasure. And remember this, your future partner, your dream relationship, your ideal love story depends on the man you're becoming today. Imagine standing in front of the person you'll love most in the future. Do you want to tell them you wasted years in addiction to meaningless urges? Or that you built yourself into someone strong, focused, and unstoppable? Discipline is love. Love for your future. Love for the people counting on you. Love for yourself. So tonight, make a small promise. Keep it and repeat. Because with every small victory, you're not just beating temptation. You're building a man you'll be proud to love. Here's a truth most men never realize. Women are not attracted to a man who never feels pain. They're attracted to a man who can handle pain without breaking. Emotional resilience makes you magnetic because it shows strength. So tonight, ask yourself, am I letting emotions control me, or am I using them to grow stronger? Remember this, resilience isn't about never falling. It's about rising every single time you do. And once you master that, no heartbreak, no rejection, No failure, nothing, will ever have the power to destroy you again. Final thoughts and outcome of the 7-day plan. Let me ask you this. How different would your life look if just 1 week from today, you weren't the same man you were before? Imagine waking up 7 days from now, not weighed down by shame, not hiding from yourself, but standing taller, feeling stronger, and finally believing that you're in control. That's not just a dream. That's the outcome waiting for you if you've walked through these 7 days with an open heart and disciplined mind. Think about what's happened in just 1 week. On day 1, you stopped running from yourself. You faced your truth. That alone separated you from the man who stays stuck in denial. On day 2, you rediscovered your energy, that fire you once felt when you were in love, the drive that makes life exciting again. On day 3, you began reshaping your habits, choosing progress over pleasure, strength over weakness. On day 4, you rewired your mind, learning to fight back against the lies your brain fed you. On day 5, you found something deeper, your purpose, that reason to get up every morning. On day 6, you built the foundation of self-discipline, the one thing that separates dreamers from doers. And on day 7, you became emotionally resilient, no longer running from pain but using it to grow stronger. Tell me honestly, doesn't that sound like a man who's unrecognizable from the one who started? Because that's the truth. 1 week is enough to change everything. Not because the journey ends here, but because in 7 days, you've proven to yourself that change is possible, that you are not a prisoner of your urges, that you can stand up, fight back, and rebuild your life. Think about love again. Remember how falling in love once transformed your world? How every day felt lighter, brighter, more meaningful? That same transformation can happen now, not because of someone else, but because of you. Because you've chosen to love yourself enough to grow, to discipline yourself, to respect your body and your mind. The outcome of this 1-week plan is not perfection. It's transformation. It's realizing that the man you've always wanted to be isn't a fantasy. He's right there, waiting for you to step into his shoes. But here's the challenge. This is not the end. This is the beginning. 1 week proves that you can change. Now the rest of your life will prove how far you can go. So here's my final word to you. Don't stop here. Keep building. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep choosing purpose over pleasure, strength over weakness, resilience over despair. Because the man you're becoming, he's worth it. The future love of your life, she's worth it. And most importantly, you are worth it. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.